Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Jai Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो जय निताय गौरांगो जय प्रहलाद नरसिम्हा प्रहलाद नरसिम्हा प्रहलाद नरसिम्हा जय सुदर्शना जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र की जय गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र की जय श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय श्री श्री निताय गौरांग की जय श्री श्री प्रहलाद नरसिंह देव की जय श्री श्री सुदर्शन भगवान की जय हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Srila Prabhupada ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 11th chapter, text number 3. Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka is the name of the chapter. Tam upashrutya ninadam tam upashrutya ninadam jagad bhaya भयावहं जगद भय भयावहं प्रत्युद्ययुः प्रजाः सर्वा प्रत्युद्ययु प्रजा सर्वा भर्तृ दर्शन लालसाः भर्तृदर्शन लालसाः तम् उपश्रुत्य निनदम् जगद्भय भयावहम् प्रत्युद्ययो प्रजा सर्वा भर्तृदर्शन लालसाः तम् उपश्रुत्य निनदम् Jagadbhaya bhayavaham pratyudyayo praja sarva bhartridarshan lalasa Shutya ninadam Bhaya bhayavaham Pratyudyayo praja sarva Bhartridarshan lalasa Tam upashutya ninadam Jagad bhaya bhayavaham Pratyudyayo praja sarva Bhartridarshan lalasa Tam, that, upashrutya, having overheard, ninadam, sound, jagad bhaya, the fear of material existence, bhaya avaham, the threatening principle, prati, towards, udyayuhu, rapidly proceeded, prajaha, the citizens, sarvaha, all, bhartri, the protector, darshana, audience, lalasaha, having so desired. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The citizens of Dwaraka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees. Please repeat. The citizens of Dwaraka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees. Purport. As already explained, the citizens of Dwaraka who lived at the time of Lord Krishna's presence, there were all liberated souls who descended there along with the Lord as entourage. All were very anxious to have an audience with the Lord. Although because of spiritual contact they were never separated from the Lord, just as the gopis at Vrindavan used to think of Krishna while he was away from the village for cow-herding engagements. The citizens of Dwarka were all immersed in the thought of the Lord while he was away from Dwarka to attend the battle of Kurukshetra. Some distinguished fiction writer in Bengal concluded that the Krishna of Vrindavan, that of Mathura, and that of Dwarka were different personalities. Historically, there is no truth in this conclusion. The Krishna of Kurukshetra and the Krishna of Dwarka are one and the same personality. The citizens of Dwarka were thus in a state of melancholy due to the Lord's absence from the transcendental city, as much as we are put in a state of melancholy at night because of the absence of the sun. The sound heralded by Lord Krishna was something like the heralding of the sunrise in the morning. So all the citizens of Dwarka awoke from a state of slumber because of the sunrise of Krishna, and they all hastened towards him just to have an audience. The devotees of the Lord know no one else as protector. The sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord, as we have tried to explain by the non-dual position of the Lord. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. Out of the four problems of material existence, namely, the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem, the fear problem gives us more trouble than the others. We are always fearful due to our ignorance of the next problem. The whole material existence is full of problems. and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusory energy of the Lord, known as Maya or external energy. Yet all fear is vanished as soon as there is the sound of the Lord, represented by His holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can take advantage of these sounds and be free from all threatening problems of material existence. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was discussing second chapter of Bhagavad Gita with one of the devotees with whom I take one-on-one Bhagavad Gita sessions. So entire second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, great focus is given to remaining indifferent or equipoised. That is the first instruction which Krishna has given to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. And the first instruction is verse number 11. When Arjuna finally surrendered to Krishna, that I am your student, I am your disciple, please instruct me. Then Krishna started talking. Before that, friendly talks were going on. Because unless somebody is willing to hear, somebody surrenders, the inquiries will not be fruitful. So thus Krishna did not speak till Arjuna was not surrendered as a disciple. And then Krishna started talking. And Krishna tells, Ashocyanan vashochastvam pragyavadansha bhashase. You are talking like a learned man, but you are mourning for what not is worthy of grief. Gatasuna gatasoscha nanu shochanti panditaha. Those who are wise, learned, they don't lament either for the living or for the dead. So thus we can understand nobody is pandit, nobody is learned actually. So what is learning? What is knowledge? It is defined. Sa vidya ya vimuktaye, that is knowledge which liberates one. Otherwise, it is told it is simply Shilpa Napunam. What is Shilpa Napunam? It is not knowledge, it is craftsmanship. Sorry. So it is simply craftsmanship. We have seen various kinds of artists are there who are very, very expert in performing their art. So this art is called Shilpa Napunam. Shilp means art, artistic endeavor. Napuna means expertise. So all of this is called artistic expertise. But that is not called knowledge. We have seen people juggling so many objects in their hands. There are 5 balls, 6 balls, 8 balls. So shall we tell or see such an intelligent person? You don't know what is the relevance between intelligence and this. This is not called intelligence. This is a skill. It is Shilpa Napunam. So similarly, All the other kinds of knowledge, it is simply jugglery. I'm able to make a nice automobile, it can drive very fast, carry many, many people. This is another expertise in shilp, in art. You are arranging matter very nicely. So this is not knowledge. Knowledge is that which liberates one. Who am I? This is called actually knowledge. So one who has knowledge, he is called Pandita, he is called scholar, wise man. And one who has knowledge, wise man, he does not lament at all. So anybody who is lamenting, it means he or she is unwise. So thus we can see how great calamity is there in the world. In the name of education, people are remaining on the platform of ignorance. They are not cultivating knowledge at all, and thus everyone is lamenting. In this way, Krishna explains so many things, but he keeps on coming back. Yena kena santushto, remaining satisfied some way or other. It's very important. And then the symptoms of Sthita Prajna, one who is liberated, whose consciousness is merged in the divinity. What are his symptoms? Again, the symptoms are same. Equipoised, not disturbed. So thus the devotee who was listening, he asked, so Prabhu, what does it mean? Liberated soul is like a robot? No emotions. Robot does not get disturbed. He is equipoised. Somebody is living or somebody is dead. Robot is not disturbed. So liberated person is like a robot? So no. So this is the situation of liberated people. Tam upashrutya ninadam jagad bhaya bhayavaham. So all these people who were residents of Dwarka, they were liberated personalities. They are part of entourage of the Lord who travel along with the Lord. As a king comes to any place, he comes with his bodyguard, his cook, his other close ministers, friends. All of them will travel along with the king. Similarly, all these residents of Dwarka, they are liberated souls. They descend along with Lord Krishna in this world to perform the pastime. So what is the situation of these liberated people? They were in melancholy. Means they were very, very sad and distressed. So liberated personality, sad and distressed? Yes. And they are having lot of anxiety also. So we all want to become free of the anxieties. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that there are 4 problems in this world which a person is trying to solve mainly. Which are those 4 problems? Ahar, Nidra, Bhay, Maithun. Eating problem and eating is a problem. It is a great problem. So we started recently another initiative in US about feeding students, college students especially. And they are discussing, the people are very enthusiastic that yes, it is very nice initiative, it is very much needed. So I was wondering, in America also people are hungry and starving. So why people are appreciating India, we understand. And they are telling, yes, in India, in US, 44% of the college students, they are in anxiety because of food. They are having food problem. 44% of people have food insecurity. They use the term. So can you imagine, almost 50% of the college students in America, they are having food insecurity. So that is the nature of this world. Similarly, we opened Akshay Patra, another branch in London. There also food insecurity. So after ruling across the world for so many years, finally in their capital there is food insecurity. In America there is food insecurity. So thus food is one problem for which we are working. Otherwise what a person will eat, one needs to eat. Ahar, Nidra, sleep is also another issue. So one needs a comfortable house so that one can sleep nicely. Eating, mating, sleeping and defending. So among these 4 problems, the greatest problem is that of defending or fear problem. Ahar, Nidra, Bhay, Maithun. Bhay or fear. And this fear is also known as anxiety. Another form of fear is anxiety. I am not sure what is going to happen. This fear arises because of our ignorance of what is going to happen in future, which problem is going to come. Thus people always remain anxious. So among these 4 problems, this anxiety is predominant. And thus we see the liberated souls, they are also having anxiety. So how do we understand they are liberated? Rather, they are very, very anxious. So as they heard the sound of conch shell of Krishna, they became so anxious, they started running towards Krishna. Pratyudyayu praja sarva. All the praja, all the citizens, they started running towards Krishna in great anxiety. So how do we understand? On one hand, we see that they are equipoised, undisturbed, but here we see they are having great anxiety. Yes, so that is why we have to understand these are called spiritual affairs. So liberation is not easy to understand. That is why the definition of liberation is mukti hitvanyatha rupena swarupena vyavasthitihi. There is a definition of everything. What is definition of liberation? Hitva anyatha rupena. People think mukti means you leave your form and merge in Krishna. But that is not the definition. The definition is hitva means leave anyatha rupena. Leave this illusory form which you have taken. This is not our form. We are mistaken. Because of false ego, I am thinking I am this form. So mukti hitva anyatha rupam. So leaving this false illusory form. Leaving means already we are not this form. Giving up the understanding that I am this form. Anyatha rupena. Swarupena vyavasthiti. And getting established in one's own identity. Giving a false identity, getting established in own identity. So thus a liberated person is not like a robot. He experiences all the emotions, but these emotions are spiritual emotions. Rather, it is very much essential to feel these emotions. Param drishtva nivartate. When a person feels attraction for Krishna, then he can give up material attraction. Unless one is attracted towards Krishna, it is impossible to give up material attractions. That is why Prabhupada told, first of all, I made them attracted towards Krishna. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet. Somehow or other, Rup Goswami tells, mind should be absorbed in Krishna. So thus one was not able to understand. Somebody read that Prabhupada was willing to feed meat also to the people, to the Americans, although it was never required. But Prabhupada discusses with one of his god brothers that I am willing to give them meat also. If they cannot come to the temple without eating meat, I am willing to supply everything. But let them hear about Krishna. And although it was never a necessity to supply meat, but then Prabhupada had smoking chambers in the temple. Because people were not able to sit for a long time without smoking. They would become anxious. So thus Prabhupada made a smoking chamber in the temple. Okay, you go there and smoke and then come to here. Otherwise, nobody can stay in the temple for a long time. Similarly, although tea, coffee is prohibited, but in the guest houses, Prabhupada made arrangements for having tea for the guests. So why tea is intoxicant? Why Prabhupada is arranging? Otherwise, nobody will be able to stay in temple even for one night. Because immediately next morning you want tea. So then guest house, nobody will be able to come to stay. Everyone is addicted to tea. So Prabhupada made arrangements for tea in the guest house. For the guests, not for the devotees. So the arrangement was done. So that is why the principle is yena kena prakarena mana. Somehow or other, let the mind become absorbed in Krishna, attached to Krishna. So thus Prabhupada, he chanted Hare Krishna, he spoke about Krishna. And then all the rules, regulations, prohibitions, they will come later. So the first and foremost thing is somehow or other, mind should always remain absorbed in Krishna. This is very, very important, Prabhupada tells. Life is very short, we do not have much time. So somehow our life should be planned in such a way that always our mind is absorbed in Krishna. Think of nothing but Krishna, talk of nothing but Krishna. Always remain absorbed. Somehow or other, keep on thinking about Krishna. So this is how we should plan our day. Yena kena prakarena. This is the first condition. Mind should become absorbed in Krishna. And later everything will follow automatically. So liberation does not mean no activity. Liberation means doing the same activities in our own constitutional position. Rather, it is very much required to engage, to be active in Krishna's service. If we are not active, then we will fall down from the stage of trance also. And thus trance also has proved to be a failure. Somebody has advanced so much in impersonal liberation, but they have fallen down because they have not taken shelter of, like recently astronauts have come back from space. Why they had come back? No shelter in space. You can go back, but then you have to have some shelter. So we are living entities. We will be engaged in activities. So unless there is activity on spiritual platform, there will be, like Vishwamitra Muni, he was in trance. For thousands of years he meditated. But then little sound of the ankle bells of heavenly woman, it broke his meditation. And then he fell for sense gratification. So he was situated in trance, but he fell for sense gratification because his senses were not engaged. But example given is devotees whose senses were engaged, Haridas Thakur, others, they were not disturbed at all. So thus it is very, very important to give our senses engagement, thorough engagement. This is the secret of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada explains, glass filled with milk, then there is no space, you cannot fill anything else. Otherwise you fill with water. So thus all our senses should be completely engaged in service of Krishna. Very simply we can understand. If we have eaten sufficient prasadam, can we eat bhoga then more? Unoffered food? No. When we have eaten sufficiently the offered food, there is no scope of eating unoffered food. Similarly, when our senses are engaged in service of Krishna, then they will be away from Maya's service. But it is very, very important to engage the senses. Aruya krichena param padam tataha patanti adha. Patanti adha means fall down. Anadrit yushmat angraya. One who has not taken shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, he can advance so much. They definitely advance. They come to Brahma level. Brahma bhuta prasannatma. But from that stage, there is fall down. So this is very important. We cannot escape anxieties. We cannot escape activities. But activity should be done for Krishna and anxiety must be taken for Krishna. Thus when the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, that Prabhupada, how can we control our aggressive behavior? Because we live in devotee community and sometimes due to aggression we commit offenses. And this is one of the main reasons this is the most dangerous thing that a person can ever do, that is offending a devotee. And thus there is turmoil in the spiritual life and there is a break in spiritual life because of it. So Vaishnava Aparadha is very, very dangerous. And thus overnight it is so dangerous, overnight material desires, they appear in the heart by committing Vaishnava Aparadha. One spoils his spiritual advancement and one loses his material advancement also. Everything is spoiled because of Vaishnava Aparadha. So thus one has to be very, very cautious. There should be no offending of a devotee. So you are experiencing very nice consciousness. You are able to always think of Krishna, engage in his service, getting taste in chanting, hearing, reading. But then you commit Vaishnava Aparadha, immediately the realization goes away. And rather material desires, lust, anger, they take over in our life. We go away from devotee association. So it is very dangerous. We should be very, very cautious. So the devotee wanted to ask, how can we avoid this aggression which we might exhibit in the community of devotees and thus we will spoil our spiritual life? So what answer Prabhupada gave? How to avoid being aggressive? So Prabhupada told you must be very, very aggressive. You must be very, very aggressive. So you be very, very aggressive for spreading Krishna consciousness, for preaching. You should be like lion in the chase, then you will be lamb at home, Prabhupada told. So in some European countries, I think Spain or somewhere, Prabhupada was talking. So Prabhupada told you should be lion in the chase and lamb at home. So Prabhupada told we have to be very aggressive. Aggression artificially we cannot stop. We are having lot of aggression, lot of rajas and tamas. So unless this aggression is used for Krishna, this aggression will come out at home or in the community of devotees. So one who is very, very aggressive for Krishna, automatically he will develop all humility. Prabhupada told this is an advanced concept. Only when you advance, you will be able to understand this. You will be able to realize. So one has to be very, very aggressive. That is the way to become humble. Then after few months, another devotee asks, I think in India or some other place, how to be humble, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada tells his disciple, tell him or her, what did I just speak some time back. Then they repeat the same statement. We have to be very, very aggressive. Lion in the chase and lamb at home. Usually we are lamb outside and lion at home. So one has to be very, very aggressive. So then one will be very, very humble at home. So that is why anxieties we have to take. We are living entities. So if we do not take anxiety for Krishna, we will take anxiety in the material existence. Illusory anxiety, I will be anxious, snake may not bite me. Not knowing that is not snake, that is only a rope. In this way, illusory anxieties will be servant of illusion. If we are not servant of Krishna, we are not free. We have to become perfect servant of Krishna, perfect servant of spiritual master. 24 hours, every moment we have to see I am following the instruction of spiritual master. Otherwise, I will be following instructions of illusion. And illusory fears of eating, mating, sleeping, defending anxieties will keep on haunting us always. So thus it is very, very important that we learn how to take anxiety for Krishna. Then our anxieties, they vanish. This is called liberated platform. And thus Prabhupada tells, this is what we practice here. We do deity worship. So there is anxiety. Yes. Oh, morning there is time. So I'm late. Oh, let me get ready quickly. Let me open the altar. Let me wake up the Lord. Lord has to be woken up on time. Altar should be closed on time. Aarti should happen on time. Food should be offered on time. So like this, so many things timely we have to follow. So this creates anxiety in us. So Prabhupada explains this is training how to take anxiety for Krishna. And then when you further engage in service, great anxiety can come. When you preach, greatest anxiety. If you actually preach, it is not easy. Lot of anxiety you have to take. And when we take this anxiety, then automatically there is no anxiety in this material world. So these people do not know. So without taking anxiety for Krishna, we cannot become free from material anxieties. We are living entity, we have to take anxiety. We have to engage our senses. So the karmis are having sleepless nights. They are not able to sleep. Prabhupada also had sleepless nights. Prabhupada writes in a letter, sometimes I am not able to sleep at night also, thinking how to expand this movement. Prabhupada is just thinking how to expand, and he is not able to sleep. Karmis also are thinking how to expand my business, not able to sleep. So externally the activities are same. But one is in material anxiety, he gets a heart attack, and another personality, he is on liberated platform. He is in bliss. But this is very important. Anxiety has to be taken. If there is no anxiety for Krishna, material anxieties will continue in our life. Maya will not leave us so easily. So this is liberation. Mukti hitvan yatha rupena swarupena vyavasthiti. So all the citizens of Dwarka awoke from a state of slumber because of the sunrise of Krishna. Just like when there is sunrise, then there is no anxiety. At night we are anxious, thief may not be there, snake may not be there, animals may not be there, ghosts may not be there. But when there is light, then we are not anxious. We can see everything very, very clearly. Thus, when the sun of Krishna rises, then there is no more fear. So Krishna and the sound of Krishna's conch shell or sound of Krishna's name, they are non-different. So from the sound of Krishna's conch shell arrival, the fear personified is also fearful. Bhirapiyad bibheti. Fear himself is fearful of sound of Krishna. The sound of Krishna is as good as Krishna. So thus Prabhupada explains, the sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord. So how do we get rid of fear? Simply by contacting Krishna. As soon as there is sound of Krishna, the material fear personified also becomes fearful. So similarly, all the material fears will flee away in fear when there is sound of Krishna's name. So thus it is told here, the sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord, as we have tried to explain by the non-dual position of the Lord. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. So we are always fearful due to our ignorance of the next problem. The whole material existence is full of problems, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusory energy of the Lord known as Maya or external energy. Yet the fear is vanished as soon as there is sound of the Lord, represented by His holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is the secret. So sound of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is non-different from Krishna. And if we chant and hear Hare Krishna mantra very nicely, then all the fears will automatically vanish. So if it is not going away, that means we are not chanting properly. If we chant properly, it is very simple solution. Then there is no more anxiety, no more fear. So by chanting and hearing Hare Krishna nicely, what will happen? We will take anxiety to attain Krishna, Prabhupada tells. If you simply follow these rules and regulations strictly, great eagerness to have Krishna will come out. And when there is great eagerness, anxiety to attain Krishna, to serve Krishna, then there is no more material anxiety. So the solution is hearing only. Simply we have to hear nicely. Entire process, our lifestyle, our routine is planned in such a way just so that we can improve our hearing. That's it. So when the hearing is improved, great anxiety to serve Krishna will develop. And then material anxieties, material fears will vanish. So by this we can test how much we are hearing very nicely and how much we are advancing towards platform of liberation. So liberated person is not a robot. He has all the emotions, but he has emotions for Krishna. And on material platform, he may behave again like a person who is having emotions, but internally he is not disturbed. Just like the robots may also carry some expressions in future. They are being trained to show expressions of joy or sorrow on their faces. But robot is not feeling anything. It is only showing. In a similar manner, in this material world, we may show anything, but a devotee does not feel anything on the material platform. On material platform, devotee is neutral. Externally, he may appear to be showing, but he is showing all these things on and experiencing all these emotions on spiritual platform. So this is called liberation. We'll finish here. Any questions? Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
The anxiety which we take, that has to be taken for the service of Krishna. But many times it happens that when we are living in community of devotees, we have to coordinate with each other. And then only we can execute a particular seva. So many times it happens that we feel that we are doing our part correctly and the other person is not doing correctly, and we become anxious because of that. So first question is that kind of anxiety right or not right, and how to take care of that?
So when we become anxious, we are living in community, either in community or in family. When we are living with other devotees, other people, and we see others are not doing their services for Krishna on time or as per requirement, then we become anxious. So is this anxiety all right or not? So there are two kinds of anxieties. One anxiety is we are getting dissatisfied and anxious with the people, that I am having wrong people and everything is wrong because of them. They are the cause of trouble. So that is not fact. Cause of trouble is our lack of Krishna consciousness. That is what we have to understand. There is nothing missing in our life, materially or spiritually. Thus Prabhupada tells there is no dearth of guidance or resources for a devotee all the knowledge, guidance, resources, everything is available for a devotee. The only thing missing is Krishna consciousness, that's it. Otherwise, everything material and spiritual will be supplied by Krishna. Yoga Kshemam Vahami Aham. Krishna maintains everything for whom? Who are perfectly Krishna conscious. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. So this is very, very empowering statement. If I see any problem in my life, physical, mental, intellectual, spiritual, XYZ, personal, interpersonal, official, unofficial, any kind of problem which we see in our life, it is only because of lack of my Krishna consciousness, not other person's Krishna consciousness. So this is what we have to do. And then everything will be arranged by Krishna. Prabhupada tells. If you keep yourself pure, you preach purely. When preaching is pure, men, money, managers, because devotees were complaining, there were no managers in the temples and we don't have sufficient funds. We don't have men. So Prabhupada told, men, money, managers, everything will be supplied by Krishna. Everything will come. If there is one sincere soul, Prabhupada told, in a center, then Krishna will send all the necessary facilities. So we just need one sincere soul for each center. In this way we can start hundreds of centers. If there is one sincere soul, Krishna will supply, he will send everything. So everything is coming from Krishna. So thus we should not become disturbed by so-called external deficiencies. The deficiency is there in our consciousness. If we are Krishna conscious, then there is no cause of anxiety for us. But taking anxiety for the service of Krishna, this is very required, very much required, this is good. But becoming anxious because of others' behavior, this is illusion. This should be avoided.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare.
Typically, in the material world, when you work...
Can you please be louder?
Yes, Prabhu. Typically, when you work outside, you will not find people becoming anxious. They will say, prepared for the worst. Prepare for the worst, like that, right? Huh? Hope for the best, right?
Yes.
So here, fear or anxiety is considered as a negative emotion. It is not a very positive emotion.
Yes.
But here you are saying that anxious you have to become for Krishna's service.
Yes.
Why we are not following that material principle of hope for the best, prepare for the best? Why you have to become anxious?
Yes. So first part of the question, outside people do not become anxious because they follow the policy of hope for the best and prepare for the worst. But this remains only a theory, they are not able to implement it. And thus we can see that everyone in the material world is full of anxiety. This we can understand from our practical experience. We can understand from data and analysis also how the mental disorders are increasing like anything. There is the result of taking too much of anxiety. So everyone is so much anxious. Small child is also anxious now. So earlier they were anxious only once in a year because once in a year they would have exams. Then they were made to be anxious twice in a year, half yearly exam. Then came quarterly exams, every 2-3 months anxious. Then came weekly tests, every week anxious. Then surprise test, always anxious. So thus we can see anxiety is always increasing in our life. Earlier, once a person has got a job, the employer is anxiety free and the employee is also anxiety free. There is no anxiety of finding another job. This is my job once and for all, I am settled here. Employer is also anxiety free. I have got somebody, he is not going to leave or she is not going to leave. Now both are anxious. He may leave, she may leave, or I may be removed. One of the topmost company, they have decided to lay off 14,000, how many managers? 14,000 man, huh? 18,000? 18,000 top level managers. That is dream company of the best performers. And 18,000 of them, those who got their dream jobs, their dream is going to be broken. So anxious, always you are anxious. So thus outside they speak all these things that hope for the best. But they hope for the worst. Preparation or I do not know. But they are not able to come out of all. That is called panic attack. They are hoping for the worst. Not hoping, they are feeling worst is happening to me. That is called panic attack, anxiety attack. So thus materialists are not able to follow. Unless somebody is anxious, nobody will be working so hard. Because people are working very hard, it means they are very much anxious. What will happen? What will happen in future if I do not work this hard? So thus outside everybody is anxious. So thus there is no question of remaining without anxiety. That we discussed is only illusion. That is a temporary state. Either when you are sleeping, you become anxiety free, or when you are in so-called meditative trance. That is also a temporary state. Soon after Vishwamitra, although he was absorbed in trance, he fell down and then he became very anxious. What have I done with my life? Very, very anxious. Again captured by anxieties. So thus remaining on an anxiety-free level is possible only for a stone. But a living entity must take anxiety. So the question is, why should we take anxiety? Why can't we follow this policy? So one thing is, it is not possible. There is no policy like without anxiety in material life. And in spiritual life, anxiety is great bliss. That is what Prabhupada is explaining in the purport here. All were very anxious to have an audience with the Lord. Although because of spiritual contact, they were never separated from the Lord. Just as the gopis at Vrindavan used to think of Krishna while he was away from the village for cow herding engagements, the citizens of Dwarka were all immersed in thought of the Lord while he was away from Dwarka to attend the battle of Kurukshetra. So just like the gopis, apparently they were in great anxiety because of separation from Krishna, but they were in spiritual bliss. So this is very important point to be understood. Unless we take anxiety for Krishna, there is no question of spiritual bliss. Spiritual bliss is based on the platform of having anxiety. So rather, this is one of Krishna's duty. He makes the devotees very, very anxious. And that is why Krishna deliberately became invisible in Vrindavan, so that gopis become very anxious. Krishna deliberately fell down from the basket of Vasudev when he was carrying him to Gokul. And when Krishna was lost in water, he became very, very anxious. So Krishna increases the anxieties of the devotees. Deliberately he gets caught in the coils of Kaliya. Yashoda and Nand, they became so anxious they almost faint. So this anxiety for Krishna is great spiritual pleasure. This is what we have to realize. When we work hard for Krishna, when we use all our energies of Krishna, that is the platform of spiritual happiness. That is why we must take anxieties for Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, if we make a spectrum of anxiety, then on the negative end, there could be escapism or carelessness. Somewhere in the middle, it could be being carefree. And on the rightmost side, it would be being very much anxious for anything and everything. Prabhu, I think I somewhere lie in the middle, Prabhu.
Okay.
And I am not anxious very often, very rarely. Is that not a good thing, Prabhu? Both for material and spiritual lives.
That is a good thing for material life, that we are not anxious. So now we have to take Krishna anxiety, otherwise Maya will put us into material anxiety in some time. So one should not be anxious. That is good. That is called Sattva Guna. Brahmana is not at all in anxiety. But unless the Brahmana learns to take anxiety for Krishna, what will happen? So it is told in Bhagavatam, one who does not engage in service of Krishna and they are satisfied by their positions in Varnashrama system, they fall down from their situation. So thus one cannot remain in the platform of Sattva Guna is anxiety-free state. But one will not be able to stay in Sattva Guna unless he comes to Shuddha Sattva Guna and engages in service of Krishna. One will be captured by lower modes again. So it is good. Now we have to take advantage of this goodness to rise to pure goodness.
Hare Krishna, bro. So, bro, you are mentioning that we have to take an anxiety for preaching this Krishna consciousness to everyone. So, bro, can you elaborate on that point? What and which type of anxiety we should take for preaching the Krishna consciousness?
Same. Just like any businessman, they would be anxious, no? Customers are not increasing. Nobody is coming to shop. I'm not able to sell. So similarly, we should be anxious. I'm not able to increase devotees. Devotees are not coming. People are not taking books. how to do it, how to increase the number of devotees. So in this way we have to be anxious.
Hare Krishna, bro. You mentioned that people are not aware of the idea of liberation. They think that it means inactivity.
Yes.
So my question is that the impersonalists, are they not aware that one can be liberated while being in the body? That's why they misunderstand these things, like although Dwarka residents are mentioned to be liberated, and at the same time they are facing anxiety and all.
Yes, the impersonalists, they have no idea that in this world they can be liberated.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have committed many Vaishnava aparadha, but I am not sure it is aparadha or not. What should I do? How do I rectify?
Go and beg pardon. It is always good to err on the wrong side. If you are unsure I have offended somebody or not, it is always good to go and beg pardon. That is the only way of getting excuse from Vaishnava aparadha.
Prabhu, you mentioned that we have to take anxiety. Krishna gives anxiety to devotees. Can this anxiety sometime lead to panic attacks, anxiety attacks, disturb mentally, or can lead to mental disorder? Can it go to an extreme?
Yes, it can go. That is why anxiety should be taken as per the directions of spiritual master. So if we take too much anxiety, even in the service of Krishna, then that may also spoil our Krishna consciousness. Just like if we eat too much of prasadam while we are in the neophyte stage, then that will spoil our spiritual growth and material health also. Everything is spoiled. So that is why it is very important to have regulation. That is why unlimited anxiety we will not take like materialists. What do materialists they do? They'll forget eating, sleeping also. Continuously they're working. We will not do that. Morning and evening we are booked for singing and dancing in front of Krishna, hearing and discussing Krishna Katha. And then balanced time we will take anxiety as far as we can. So regulated anxiety is very much required for us. So very good question. If it is not regulated, anything in Krishna consciousness, that may also lead to instability in life. That is why yukta hara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya. Over endeavor and taking some very difficult task for Krishna. Yes, we should take difficult, I mean difficulty under regulation. But some very difficult task I have taken, then I am not able to maintain my Krishna consciousness. That is very harmful, should be avoided.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, sometime I wake up late. So is it alright if I do Mangalarti late than the usual time, which I do daily?
So we have to understand what time you are waking up. So Mangalarti time is 4:15 or 4:30. 5 o'clock also you can do Mangalarti. 5:30 also you can do Mangalarti. Or 6 o'clock you can do Mangalarti. But beyond that, you can do Darshanarti then. That is the time for it.
Done.
Okay, so we'll finish. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की